I'm Captain Logan, and welcome to another exciting speculation video. I am joined by Dan Torrey.
Hey, everybody.
And beware the Steve Baxi.
Hello, everyone.
And today we are going to, like everybody on the internet, talk about the new Star Wars trailer, because Star Wars is such a big, huge, giant deal once again. It's kind of nostalgic. I'm kind of, even though I don't like this movie, I'm nostalgic for, like, 1999 again, or 98, or whenever Episode 1 came out.
Yeah, because it was 99.
Because it was just everywhere like it is all of a sudden now, and we're to a point where it's so everywhere that we're seeing major mainstream things making fun of just the little pieces that we've seen so far. We don't even have the movie yet. So finally, we have a couple-minute trailer, and today we're going to tell you what we thought of the trailer, and we're going to speculate a little bit about what we think might happen in the film based on what we know. And so we're going to go ahead and start today with Dan Torrey. Dan, did you tear up at all? I'm hearing a lot of folks were tearing up watching.
I don't know if I teared up, but like I was brought back to watching the trailers for like Revenge of the Sith when I was really excited about that movie to come out, and man, it just looks like the coolest thing ever. This trailer was really cool. I thought it was really well edited. I've watched it like 50 times and went over all the little details of it. So there's a lot of cool editing things. Like there's a scene where Rey is crying over what looks like a furry corpse with a bandolier on it, which is probably Chewie, and it fades into her face fades to Chewbacca with his hands up and standing next to Han. So like there's a lot of cool little editing things that they do that hint at what we might see in the movie. I think it basically tells us what the plot of the movie is going to be. We see Kylo Ren saying he wants to finish what Vader started, which is to eliminate all the Jedi, and we see him and a bunch of stormtroopers pillaging a village, and that's where apparently Luke Skywalker and R2 are. So this movie is basically going to be the hunt for Luke Skywalker, which is the coolest plot of a movie ever.
I didn't pick up on that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it, and I am
welcome back to another episode of Dan Torrey Explains Trailers.
Yeah, so I'm really excited, and I have a feeling, because Abrams so far has been really trepidatious about talking about the names of two characters specifically, Rey and Kylo Ren, because we know Kylo Ren is a surname that he took because he joined this group called the Knights of Ren, and Rey at the beginning of the trailer, it says that she's no one, she's kind of, she's trepidatious about telling anybody who she is. I have a feeling that those two characters are Han and Leia's kids. I think that would make a lot of sense, and I think that's probably why Kylo Ren is after Luke, because he's like his failed student that fell to the dark side or something. But those are the main points that I gleaned from the trailer. I thought was really cool.
Boy, it'd be really neat to take two kids like that and put them on opposing sides like that, considering that could have happened with Luke and Leia. If Luke had fallen to the dark side, and that you've got once again a brother and a sister, and yeah, I could see a lot of potential.
And it parallels what was done in the expanded universe, because Jason and Jaina Solo, Jason, Jaina Solo, and then it was Anakin Solo. They had 3 kids, and Anakin Solo fell to the dark side, and Jason and Jaina were light side, and they had to fight against him. So it's sort of similar to what they did in the expanded universe novels. And Chewie dies in the expanded universe novels too. So if those predictions are correct, they're taking bits and pieces from the expanded universe and telling a different story, which is interesting.
Well, I was going to ask you guys about that, because I've been getting this impression, and of course, as you guys know, I've not looked at a whole lot of the old expanded universe, but I was getting the impression, even with the little bits of stuff that we were seeing before, and now that we have, especially I'm getting that now with this trailer, that it feels like almost like we're almost straight up an adaptation of some of expanded universe. Even just the tone of it, you know what I mean? We're like it feels like what I remember of the little bit of expanded universe stuff I saw when I was a kid. Like, it feels like that of the post episode 6 stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I'm getting almost like Shadows of the Empire vibe.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. It's going to be interesting to see, because like there's very little we know about other characters in the movie, like Supreme Leader Snoke. That's the character that Andy Serkis is playing, who's supposedly the leader of the New Order. So it's going to be interesting to see who he is. I mean, there's a lot we don't know, but I think the hunt for Luke Skywalker thing and the fact that nobody even believes that the Jedi and the Sith ever existed, like they are legends now, is really interesting. And the fact that Han Solo is the one that reveals that to people when it comes full circle from A New Hope, where he says it's an ancient hokey religion, is really cool.
Yep. I had that note.
Yeah,
that's cool. That was well, that was the one interesting thing I was going to bring to the table. So. But what I love about it, Dan, is that you've got to really know your stuff and pause a lot and really pay attention to glean a lot of what you're gleaning. I think it's really important to step back and recognize that, because your average moviegoer is going to go in knowing nothing even after seeing this movie, right? Even after seeing this trailer, right? Like there's a lot of fun, exciting images for your average audience that isn't going to pick up on that stuff. Your regular person that just goes to the theater to see a movie, saw this in front of it, they're not going to pick up on, oh, Chewie's probably dead. Like they're not going to notice that. So I mean, I think it's cool that you're managing to pick up on that stuff because you know Star Wars so well, but I also love how hidden and cryptic it is. It
is. Like, even when you see Rey for the first time, that makeshift helmet that she has on when she goes into the wreckage of the Star Destroyer is made out of an old Stormtrooper helmet. Like, the eyepiece, it's really cool, like all that stuff that they put in there.
I am glad that we finally confirmed that Finn was definitely a Stormtrooper, and I think the idea of doing a Stormtrooper as a main character is really super cool. Now, is it my imagination, or was he actually holding a lightsaber on the poster?
He has a lightsaber at the end of this trailer too. He's fighting Kylo Ren.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Luke's old lightsaber from A New Hope.
So that's really interesting. Does that mean that we've got a guy who? I mean, I guess. You're making a really good point, Dan. I guess we did learn more stuff. I guess even I learned some things that I thought I didn't learn watching this new trailer that I thought told us nothing. But I guess that means that we had a guy who used to work for the Empire, probably totally believed in the Empire. I like, by the way, how this trailer is pretty much just a vague. Here's the motivations of the three major characters. I really like that. Just line them up. You know, I am nothing. I have nothing to fight for anymore. I will finish what he started. Like just lays it out on the table like that. I kind of dig that.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see what Poe Dameron's deal is too, which is Oscar Isaac's character. They were sort of billed as the new trilogy of three main good characters, at least.
Okay.
So we see Kylo Ren like putting his hand across his face and him sort of exploding in rage, but other than that, you can't really glean much about him other than the fact that he's like a cocky X-wing pilot.
And he's not getting any history in some of the prequel comics. Like, we've met his parents.
Interesting. I haven't read any of that stuff. That's
Shattered Empire.
Yeah, Shattered Empire deals with his parents, and there's even some debate now as to whether or not those are even really his real parents. Like, he might also be Force aware.
Oh, interesting.
See, Shattered Empire, it drives me crazy because I wish somebody had told me that was a monthly. I had no idea. I went to the comic shop today, Shattered Empire number 4. Number 4? I just read number 1 like 4 weeks ago, and I didn't see the other two for some reason the last couple times I went. So I got some catching up to do on Shattered Empire, and wish I'd read those before this show. Just didn't have time because I just bought them today. But anyway, what I was gonna mention is I'm wondering. So I guess then that means that this ex Stormtrooper is also probably Force aware if he's got a lightsaber.
Oh, most definitely. It's very interesting, like Steve said. We saw Leia being handed Luke's old lightsaber that was lost on Bespin at Empire when his hand was cut off. And it looks like that Leia must give it to Finn in the movie, and he uses it to fight Kylo Ren. It's interesting that we're using that again, and it's a really cool callback because George Lucas always referred to Luke's lightsaber as kind of the Excalibur of the Star Wars movies, and we're bringing it back. That's really cool. There's a lot of callbacks that you see Abrams doing to the old Star Wars stuff, like Captain Phasma, the Chrome Stormtrooper commander that you see in here. She's really cool to me because she's a callback to what Boba Fett was originally supposed to be in production. Like, Boba Fett was supposed to be an elite Stormtrooper commander with like extra armor and was Darth Vader's right-hand man, and they changed it at the last minute to a bounty hunter. So Captain Phasma is kind of what Boba Fett was supposed to be originally, and they're bringing that back and doing something different with it, which is cool.
Yeah.
it's feeling like this is gonna be like a really dense movie.
Yeah.
Just the more we're talking about it, it just sounds like there's so much mythology and stuff in there. I'm gonna ask you this question. If there are so many Force-aware people, then how are so many people looking at it as an urban legend?
Well, there's no one to train them, so they wouldn't be able to figure out that they have Force sense powers. Like, unless you're really, really gifted from the very beginning and moving stuff as a baby, you wouldn't be able to tell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, you have, like weird things will happen to you. You might have, like, premonitions and dreams and things like that. You might have, like Luke did. In A New Hope, he's really good at shooting gun darks. He's really good at piloting because he has, like, those Force reflexes that he kind of taps into, but it's kind of, like, untapped potential. So there are Force sensitives out there. It's just nobody's trained them to help them realize their potential. So I would imagine that because Luke never, or maybe he trained Kylo Ren and that went so poorly that he hid away and didn't train anyone because he didn't think he was worthy of being a Jedi Master like Yoda and Obi-Wan.
Yeah, and
he didn't train anyone.
Yeah, and we still don't even know whether or not Luke became a master. Like, by the end of Return of the Jedi, he's really good. He's probably a knight. But there's no telling as to whether, and they touched on this in the Expanded Universe, there's no telling how much he knows and how much he doesn't know. So now there's no Jedi Master that we know of. There's no great Sith Master of the Dark Side either. So it's just this giant power vacuum where the Force isn't doing anything for 30 years.
Well, something I've always wondered also, I guess this is just going to turn into a sort of non-Star Wars guy asking Star Wars questions. You can just consider me the moderator. I don't know anything. I've never really bought the notion, and you guys help me out here, that enough time passed between the original trilogy. I'm sorry, the prequel trilogy, and even like A New Hope, that it would be that this could be considered an urban legend and just like a made up religion. I've never understood that because the way it's played, at least in those movies, and maybe they thought of it differently when they were making the original trilogy, but the way it plays in the old movies, it just feels like the Jedi are everywhere. It just feels like everybody knows about them, and like 30 years pass, and we haven't even had a whole generation of people that are even remotely dead yet. I mean, like a whole generation. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I think it's less believable when you're talking about in between the prequels. I think if you're talking about between the original trilogy and this trilogy, I think it's completely viable because there was only 2 Sith and 3 living Jedi at that point that, like, most people in the galaxy wouldn't have encountered those people, and no one really saw, like, not a whole lot of people saw Darth Vader, like, force choking people or using his lightsaber in broad daylight in public, and Luke Skywalker was very low key too, and same thing with Yoda and Obi-Wan. So, I mean, if we start with the original trilogy point where a lot of people think it's a hokey religion, and then
it's okay.
Then it's okay. I agree with you that there is a discrepancy between the prequels and the original trilogy.
And I guess for me, the hard thing is looking at it then with Rebels and some of the other, expanded universe stuff that we're looking at right now, is that we're trying to make that work. We're sort of forcing it, but it's but I mean, I think they're doing the best possible job they could with it, really.
Yeah, I mean, like, you look at the other stuff that's in canon, and Clone Wars just has Jedi everywhere.
Everywhere!
There's so many of them. They make up so many of them. They retcon so many of the ones from the comics and the expanded universe. It's going to be nearly impossible to deal with that without giving it a little bit of, let's pretend more time passed than it really did. Because the Jedi are hugely politically active in the old expanded universe stuff and in the prequel stuff. And now that we know nothing, we have no idea what the relationship between the Jedi and the government is. We have no idea what the Sith and the Jedi's quarrel is. There's so much expanded universe gone that now all we know is that there's Jedi, there's Sith, and sometimes they got into fights and there was some political stuff going on. It's so vague at this point that I guess I can buy it a little bit more in that way.
Yeah, I mean, we don't even know that the Sith are in this movie either. Like, they're
the Knights of Ren are not supposed to be
called the Knights of Ren. They're some sort of organization affiliated with the dark side in some way. Obviously, Kylo Ren looks like he's a dark side user, but like they say in a lot of things, there's a large discrepancy between the power of a Sith Lord and the power of a Dark Jedi. A Sith Lord knows, like, very intimate secrets of the dark side. Like, a Dark Jedi can't shoot Force lightning because that's, like, ancient Sith knowledge that they have to know. So it's going to be interesting to see how they deal with that, or if they even do it all in this movie.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by the Knights of Ren, because I always talk about this. My favorite Sith Lord's always been Darth Bane, and Darth Bane's the one that came up with the rule of two. And if we have no Sith, we have no Darth Sidious, we have no Vader, we just have this Kylo Ren and his knights, then that whole rule of two idea goes away. That whole idea of the master knows all, the student craves the power, kills the master, and gets his own apprentice goes away. So how weak or how powerful is Kylo Ren? And is this also just going back to something like the old days of like a Sith Brotherhood of Darkness days, where the Sith are basically just one massive army, and then no one of them is any stronger than the rest?
And
and it looks just like the Jedi.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
And they're also calling themselves knights. It's like the same. It's almost as if, I mean, he might be borrowing an ancient Sith idea, or he might just be doing the dark version of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And the Sith, I mean, we don't know what's in and out of canon at this point, so it's difficult. But before the Rule of Two, that's how the Sith operated. They were like the Jedi. They had an academy. There was hundreds of them,
Yeah.
and I think it's pretty safe to say that Supreme Leader Snoke, the guy that Kylo Ren's working for, is Force sensitive, because he's the guy at the beginning of the first trailer that says, "There's been an awakening. Have you felt it?"
Yeah.
So
he's feeling stuff.
yeah, so we know at least he's somewhat Force sensitive. I would imagine he's supposed to be the new Emperor of this trilogy, and he's going to be the Dark Master. I don't know that we'll even see a lot of him in this movie, but it's going to be interesting to see what his deal is as well.
And we've also got Benicio del Toro in Episode 8, which is, he's supposed to be the main bad guy for the new trilogy.
Oh, is that official? Okay.
I think it is, because they already started filming Episode 8, actually.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I had heard that, like, a long time ago. I didn't know. I had never checked to see if it was officially confirmed or not.
I saw it pop up again once they started filming, but I mean, if that's true, and we've got, like, these warring potential factions of the Sith, that could be fascinating.
Yes, it could.
You know what else is fascinating? The fact that they are so sure of themselves and confident about where they're going that they don't need public feedback before they start working on the next one.
Yeah.
That's really interesting to me that they're doing it that fast, and it doesn't feel like a rush job because we're not using the same director. Like clearly there was a lot of and I don't think anybody was aware of this until they announced, oh, and we're filming, or at least I didn't know, that it seems like there had to have been a whole lot of pre-production going on during the production of 7. Like, they're really sure of themselves right now. That is nearly Lord of the Rings, right? We're almost shooting them together, except we're using different directors.
Yeah,
I think it has to be. Oh, sorry,
Sure.
Steve. Go ahead.
And I was just going to say, I mean, if you look at the tickets going on sale, the old record for advanced ticket orders was held by one of the Hunger Games movies, and Star Wars just beat it 8-1. The tracking on this movie says it might actually beat out Avatar. So they're not only are they really sure of it, they're going to get their money back no matter what.
No matter what, it doesn't matter if it sucks or not.
Yeah, I mean, if everyone sees it on opening day and everyone hates it, it still makes its money back.
Yeah.
It more than makes its money back. It probably pays for the next 2.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think one of the things that you mentioned earlier about them filming them back to back, I think that might come out of necessity as well as confidence. I think there's both of those things coming on there, because you want to be able to use as much of the original trilogy actors as you can looking the way that they do.
Good point.
So, like, if Luke's going to be in the next couple as a Force Ghost, as someone that trains whoever ends up being the main Jedi character of this trilogy, or multiple Jedi, I mean, we don't know, you're going to need to have him looking relatively in shape like he is now, at the same age that he is now. So I think that's maybe why they're doing it as well.
Yeah, because they had to train for this, and you don't want, actors in their 60s and 70s having to train 3 times.
Yeah, I mean, that's taxing enough on a young person's body. I can't even imagine what it was like for them.
Gotta be rough when you're older, yeah. I had a question for you, Dan, and Steve. Steve, you can talk about this too. I was just curious if you think that there's any possibility that in the interim, because I mean, who knows what kinds of adventures some of these characters have been on in the last 30 years, that Leia might have also sort of become a Jedi. Like, is that possible?
Well, we do know that Leia is a queen of some sort now. I don't know of what.
Of Naboo.
No.
Of
Gungans show up. That's going to be disappointing. But we do know she's a political leader of some stripe. So, it's possible that maybe during that time Luke trained her with some things. I would imagine if Luke felt himself responsible for turning one of Leia's kids to the dark side, that might have put a rift in their relationship too.
Oh yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see what that's like. I'm going to be interested to see what the like Steve mentioned, the political structure. I don't think this will be the focus of the movie, but the rebels fought to abolish the Empire, and presumably, I mean, in the expanded universe, they established a new republic. But since Leia's a queen, and the rebel group of the good guys, and this is called the Resistance, I don't know what that means, right?
Yeah. That's a really good point. Yeah, it might be that that she's looking at what happened with the Republic and decides that that's too easy to be corrupted, and that makes me wonder, Dan, just how political we're going to get now moving forward. Like, is it going to be a blend of what we had with the prequels? Because I mean, the prequels, like to get really heavy with the politics, and there's a lot of just people standing around talking about trade disputes and stuff. Is this going to be more of a blend, or are we going to have that more in the background like we did with 4, 5, and 6?
I think it'll be in the background, and you might get some lines like, like what Padme says towards the end of episode 3, like, this is how liberty dies with thunderous applause. Maybe lines like that if there's some sort of political upheaval or something like that. But I don't think it'll focus mainly on that. It looks like it's going to be heavy focusing on the lore of the Jedi and the Sith more than anything else, which is good.
Well, that's what I want,
yeah, exactly.
Sure. But not that I'm not interested potentially in the politics. I just think that if it goes too far in that direction, we get away from space adventure, and it seems clearly that what they're trying to do is bring it back to more space adventure.
I think this movie will be heavier on it than the other two, most likely will be, because it has to establish what the difference is between the end of Return of the Jedi and the start of Force Awakens. So it will probably have to explain some things here and there, but like Dan said, it's probably going to be in the background. It's probably just going to be a catapult to explain why blowing up the second Death Star didn't end the fighting, and why they're the Resistance now, and why there's a First Order. There'll probably just be stray explanations, but I mean, even if you go back to A New Hope, they didn't do too much of that either. You got a sense of it a little bit, and then they developed it over time.
Yeah, but on the other hand, we had a very established political system that we were trying to abolish with the rebellion, and it seems like here, at least just from what we know so far, it's more than likely that it's a little bit rockier and more unsure than that, right? Where the reason I ask about politics is, might we have to do some political stuff just in figuring out what it is now, like moving forward, not just in establishing what it is right now, but I mean, like, I would imagine huge, giant status quo shifts just between 7 and 8 in what the leadership in the galaxy is.
It's going to be interesting to see, especially given that we now know there's something resembling a Death Star in the movie now too.
Yeah.
What if that's this new government that the rebels established? What if that's their device and they became what they hated?
I think that would be really interesting. And well, I mean, like, we don't even know. Well, because Dan, you've always obviously looked a lot more into this than I have. Like the new stormtroopers and all of that. Like, don't laugh if this is a stupid question, but is this remnants of the Empire? Is this some sort of like new attempted established Empire? Like, what even is the status quo right now as far as like who's in charge? What's the government? Or do we have an equal Empire and rebellion that are both doing this?
Exactly.
Right?
I don't think there's enough evidence to suggest anything. It's kind of all up in the air.
If that's the case, then could those stormtroopers potentially be what the rebellion turned into? Could they be running those guys? I just don't think we know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how the First Order, how connected they are to the Empire, whether they're the remnants or if they're sort of what neo-Nazis are to the Nazi movement in Germany, where it's like people that are directly inspired by that movement, but they're not directly connected to them. It's not the same people. It's just someone that took the ideology and ran with it and made their own thing. I mean, I don't know. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, because like the people that were most in charge are dead.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's not to say that there weren't plenty of generals that would have still been alive. I mean, it's sort of exactly like what you had actually at the end of World War II, where you could have had people that still really believed in the Nazi rhetoric that tried to keep it going.
And that's exactly what happens with Grand Admiral Thrawn in the 3 books that were episodes 7, 8, and 9 in the expanded universe, basically. Grand Admiral Thrawn was a chess general. He took the remnants of the Empire. He was such an astute strategic mind that he defeated the New Republic at every turn, even with a much smaller force, and almost reestablished the Empire if it wasn't for Luke, Leia, Han, and everyone else intervening. So it'd be, I mean, that's another way they could be taking things from the expanded universe too. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, and I mean, we've got no sense of scale at all right now. Like, we've seen shots of the new stormtroopers and stuff, but we have no idea what the new rebellions or the new resistance is capable of, what the Empire or the First Order or anything of them are capable of. We don't know how many people are in the Knights of Ren. We just know that there are active forces in the universe, and whether or not anything is greater than the other is still up in the air.
Well, what are we resisting? And is the resistance the good guys or the bad guys?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Do we any of that? Like, what are we? Wouldn't it be really interesting if the if it was like the new rebels are going against our guys? Like,
Yeah, exactly. It'll be interesting to see.
I just don't know. And like, I feel like I'm talking about a thing that we have to know about somewhere, but then we probably. I mean, that's the thing that I really love about this is that it's still so up in the air. Like, Dan, you've managed to do a lot of really interesting speculating, and I'm impressed with what you've been able to glean. But like. I look at that trailer, not knowing what you know about the expanded universe and stuff, and I go, I'm excited, but I don't know what I'm looking at. You know. But that's what I loved about it. I mean, like, just to talk about the trailer for a second, it's so grand. It's really exciting. Like, it just looks like exactly what we wanted. I saw somebody, I forget who it was, on Facebook yesterday. I saw right, whoever is making these trailers is the best in the business. I agree with that.
Oh, I agree too. Even the short little teaser we saw with no one talking, where just flashes of images, got me excited. With the John Williams score back again, and we're seeing all that stuff. That's one of the things I wanted to mention about this trailer. The John Williams music got me, dude. Especially at the end where Rey says, "Just let it in," talking about the Force. I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be the best thing ever."
Well, and I like how, I mean, I have a tendency to look too far into things. I like how in both the second teaser that was a little longer and this, you can kind of look at almost like a double entendre thing with lines like that, where it means something within a movie we haven't seen, but it also means something to us, the moviegoers. Let it in. Yeah, we're doing that. I mean, that's really cool.
I don't think you're reading that far into that, because they've been using the Force is calling to you as a thing to try to get people to buy the tickets on social media and stuff. So that's definitely why they put it in there.
That's cool. Well, and then like Chewie, we're home. Like,
yeah.
they're at Disney now.
Yeah.
Like, there's some stuff that I think is just really clever. Boy, it's just smartest marketing I've seen in probably ever.
Yeah, it's really good. Like, I don't know about if you guys were as impressed. I mean, we've been seeing the production stuff of what the movie looks like in photos and some of the trailers before, but I was really struck by all of the set design in this trailer, like the bunker that we see them go into. I checked. It's not the Endor bunker, because I initially thought that's what it was, because it looked like it had victory things all over it. But the door looks slightly different, so they're somewhere else. But that bunker design looks like something out of Return of the Jedi. The blasters look exactly like something from the original trilogy. They look like they're inspired by German World War II guns, because that's what all of the blasters props from the first three movies were. Especially the one that Finn is holding when Poe Dameron bumps into him. It looks like an MP-40, one of the submachine guns the Germans used in World War II. It's really cool, like the way they went back to that original prop design, and man, I was just really impressed with everything I saw.
And importantly, it all looks like it's there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they built a lot of it, and it's seamless so far. What we're seeing, that like you can't always tell what's CG and what's not, and that's what I'm always talking about when I'm complaining about badly integrated CG, is that it's got to look like it all fits in the same place. I mean, like, even the first time we found out that rollerball droid, it was a physical prop, I couldn't have told you that. Just looking at
Yeah.
and that's so cool that like they're actually using that. They actually built that thing, and it works. And man, it's just like this movie is gonna be a really big argument for physical effects and building sets again and that kind of stuff. And it's not just because that's what the original trilogy did and what it looked like. It's because in a lot of cases, I mean, we learned this with Christopher Nolan and his Batmans, that in a lot of cases it's just more effective.
No, I definitely agree.
Blended. I'm not anti-CG, but blended.
And I mean, it's great how used all of it still looks. Like there's you see those opening shots, and there's these grand sweeping angles and these massive empty void rooms that could both be overly beautiful, making it look like it's too pristine, but it's all still really dirty. Like, it's got the same era of mystery that the old Star Wars films had, where everything is this one big epic fantasy. But it's a fantasy you're in the middle of. It's not something that you just walk into out of a storybook. It's something that's been going on for a long period of time, and it doesn't feel too clean.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see. We saw a lot of locations in the movie too. I wanted to talk about the locations and some of the stuff that we might be able to glean, about the plot of the movie. So we see the desert planet. That's Jakku. At this point, we know it's not Tatooine. That's where Rey is hiding out, and that's where Finn crashes and they meet up, and the adventure begins. I would assume. But we do see them on an ice planet. We see them on a forest planet. I'm just wondering if Hoth or Endor are places that we visit and go see some of the remnants of the battles that were in the original trilogy, or if we're going to see new planets that just happen to have the same sort of theme, like Jakku is in relation to Tatooine.
Isn't it possible, I could be totally wrong about this, Dan. I didn't even think of this. Is it possible we could be in an entirely different part of the galaxy, even?
Yeah, I mean, we've been all around the galaxy in the other movies, like Tatooine's in the Outer Rim, Coruscant, which was the capital of the Empire and the Republic. That's in the middle of the galaxy. So, I mean, they've traveled all around before, but the space outside of the galaxy the Star Wars place in is kind of an explored space. So. Maybe they go out there. I don't know.
Thanks, because I had no spatial orientation for Star Wars. Like, I didn't know how far away anything was. Once you put light speed in there, you can get anywhere like that. And
yeah, they can pretty much go anywhere in the explored galaxy, which is they've explored all that, and outside they kind of don't know what's out there. But so yeah, I mean, we could be in a planet that we just haven't seen before that exists in the galaxy. For sure.
If it's like what you said, and it's the hunt for Luke Skywalker, then maybe it'll be a mix of some of the planets we've already seen where we know Luke has been, and then also just new stuff we've never seen before.
That's true.
It could just be Han going back to some potential locations, and then going to the brand new location where we meet some of these new characters. Like the planet where we saw the X-Wings, I didn't recognize that at all, so I'm not sure.
That's true, yeah, the planet where they're flying over the lake and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, I'll make you a $50 bet. We will not see Lothal.
No, I don't think we will either. It's going to be interesting. Though, one of the things I noticed too, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. We see pretty much every character from the original trilogy and all the new characters, except for C-3PO. He's the only one missing. We know he's going to be in the movie. I'm going to be interested to see where he's at, because we know R2 is with Luke. We saw him with R2 when the Imperials came in and were pillaging that village, trying to get Luke in the trailer. So I would assume C-3PO's place is kind of in politics. He's a translator and etiquette protocol droid, so I would assume he's probably going to be with Leia. That's more likely than anyone else, like he was at the beginning in the Tantive 4, at the beginning of A New Hope. So
he's going to have the biggest character arc, Dan. We're going to find out he's Force sensitive now too, and he's going to have a lightsaber. And
music.
Wouldn't it be hilarious?
It was like this. Lightsaber.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if you had like force wielding robots, droids that aren't like so completely organic? Like I don't mean like Grievous. I mean like R2-D2 with a lightsaber.
That would be nuts.
That like he's got a double-sided lightsaber. It shoots out the front and the back, and he spins around.
That would be amazing.
Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Did we mention any of Kylo Ren's obsession with Darth Vader? Like I heard people talking about this, and they said that he may not just be talking rhetorically for that moment in the trailer. He might potentially just be hearing Vader's voice in his head. And they've heard some dialogue in the movie. It's part of the toy line where he's hunting for Luke's lightsaber, which is Anakin's original lightsaber. So he's got a very particular obsession with Vader and rebuilding who that person was, as well as finishing his mission. So if he's just that obsessed, like if he turns out to be like Luke's failed student and Luke told him about what Vader was and he just got stuck in that, that could potentially be fascinating as well. Because
he's Vader's grandson. That would make a whole lot of sense.
Well, I think it's also important to suggest. Yeah, I still think Dan's right, and it's likely to be one of Leia's kids. But considering that he's got a face mask that covers his whole head, we need to, his whole face, we need to not rule out, I think, the potential that it's somebody we know already.
We've seen him without the mask though. It's
Yeah, he's at the end of the trailer. He has the mask off and he's fighting.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Okay, well then forget what I
And we
was
also
saying.
have like a picture from months ago where it's just Adam Driver in the costume and it's from the film.
Okay, well I'm not looking at a whole lot of stuff. I'm excited to see the movie.
I mean, people have been speculating that like lots of major news sites have been saying, is Kylo Ren Luke Skywalker? And no, obviously he's not.
Yeah.
Like there's just no proof to that whatsoever.
Well, and I was talking to some people about this today at my comic shop. Wouldn't that be? I mean, maybe you could make me buy it. Wouldn't that be the stupidest plot point ever? We spend 3 movies. Is he gonna go to the dark side or not? 15 minutes into the new movie, yeah, he did that. Later on, he actually ended up going to the dark side. We did it off screen, and no.
Yeah, that would be terrible.
That would be terrible.
So, Steve, I hadn't listened to the recordings of the toys, but that explains why that confrontation between him and Finn happens then, because Finn is using the lightsaber he's looking for.
Yeah, the dialogue from the toy is something like he's talking to Finn and saying that doesn't belong to you. So if he's actually after the lightsaber and that's what brings him into contact with Finn, and I guess part of it is the destiny plot. Like all these characters are going to have to conveniently meet somehow, and they're all probably going to be interconnected with a family relationship. So if it's all surrounded by the lightsaber and it's like you said, like the Excalibur of that universe, then I would love to see what the point of it is. Like what is it about this particular lightsaber, and how did anyone find it after Luke's hand got cut off?
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you do it right, this could be this could turn into a masterclass in how to do an artifact plot that's not a MacGuffin plot.
Oh yeah, I agree with you.
I mean, that would be wonderful. But Steve, I love what you said. What's so special about that particular lightsaber besides who wielded it? Why that one? Is it just that it's symbolic? Is there something? Does it have some sort of power of its own? What is it?
In previous Star Wars canon, there was this sort of thing that would happen with artifacts where if a very powerful Force user had a mask or a lightsaber or something like that, some of the residual power would store in the artifact. I don't know if that's still in canon with the movie. We'll have to see. But the residual kind of power of that Jedi would somewhat stick to the artifact, and it would give the user more aptitude with the Force because it's kind of a conduit for it. So we'll see if they include that. But one of the things I wanted to mention, Steve, that you said before about him hearing Vader's voice in his head, wouldn't it be interesting to, because we know Darth Vader still exists as a Force ghost. He was redeemed, apparently, at the end of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
If he's talking to Kylo Ren and he like misinterprets his message or something, like I don't know, that'd be interesting to know.
Yeah. And before we get too far away from the lightsaber thing, there's a great expanded universe comic where Vader first starts working under Palpatine, and he's trying to build his own lightsaber. And he goes through this whole arc trying to figure out how he's gonna impress his master. And the Vader lightsaber that we get at the end, he finally just gives up, saying that he can't make anything other than what he already had. So I wonder if like there's this weird eternal recurrence idea going on with just that lightsaber. Because in the old expanded universe, lightsabers wouldn't work for people that didn't have some Force connection, because the way that they had to be assembled and the way the crystals were energized was through the Force.
See, that's why I was always confused about Grievous, because I was like, how come that guy's able to use lightsabers?
Yeah, they play fast and loose with it. But the only way to take a lightsaber apart, and the only way to put it back together, and the only way to get the crystals to do what they're supposed to do is to have some awareness of the Force.
Well, the thing with Grievous makes sense because it takes on with the Force to build it, not to wield it necessarily. So he took those lightsabers from Jedi that he killed. So that makes sense.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
Cool.
I guess it just depends on whose lightsabers what, because I know there's lots of great stuff in the expanded universe with Mace Windu that I know he probably won't get back, but he's got a very special lightsaber, and the way they explained it in one of the comics I read was that the reason not only that he's the only one with a purple lightsaber, but also because he's got like lightsaber proof plating and stuff on it, is because he uses the Force to activate it.
Yeah, and he invented his own lightsaber fighting style too, called Vapad, and he channels negative dark side emotions into the light and stuff. It's really interesting.
Yeah, and he's the only one to master all other lightsaber form of combat, and he's got that Shatterpoint technique, which would be interesting to get in the movies.
That would.
I hate this because you're describing all these things that I think would have been really cool to put in. What do you call it? A movie.
I mean, you got Samuel L. Jackson to play Mace Windu, and you don't even give him the Shatterpoint stuff. That's not fun.
Yeah, that's really. Those are really cool ideas. But anyway, with the with what you were talking about, Dan, with how like residual power in the lightsaber, I think you could retroactively add that to original trilogy, and we could be made to buy it, because we're talking about Luke Skywalker's blue lightsaber, right?
Yeah, the
so
one that Obi-Wan gives him on Tatooine that Anakin.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Anakin was like the most powerful Jedi ever. So if you have that residual energy, and then that might have given Luke an initial boost, and then you have Luke's energy as he starts to channel the Force more. That would be the most powerful thing in the galaxy. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
That'd be the way to do it. Who knows if that's what they're doing? But like, you've already sold me on that idea. That makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
I think that would work well too, and it would also explain why Kylo Ren keeps Vader's mask around, because there's got to be residual dark side energy in that thing.
Yeah.
Well, also because then we can sell more Vader toys.
That's true. Yeah.
If they make that mask, I'm buying it.
But yeah, and then it gives us more stuff for the lineage theme, which is what these have always been about.
That's why I'm thinking at least one of the characters we don't know the names of has to be a Skywalker, because these movies have been about the lineage of the Skywalker family. It's one of them has to be a Skywalker at the very least.
Well, and then you get to the beginning and you've got this trailer and you got Rey saying I'm nobody, and I can't help but feel like I'm looking at a female Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, she's dressed like him, and
she has to be a Skywalker, Dan.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, and they've even gone on record and
said, not to give us any last names.
Right. Abrams said that her last name was very intentionally a secret in an interview. So, I mean,
she's a Skywalker. I bet you money she's a Skywalker. Maybe not, but I think she's got to be.
I believe she's a descendant of the Skywalker. I think her last name will probably be Solo if Han and Leia got married. But she's of the lineage of the Skywalker.
Sure, but he's of that lineage. She's of that lineage, yeah. And she would, because she's a descendant of Anakin Skywalker, she would be naturally not just Force sensitive, but very Force sensitive.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Which is why I was hoping that we would do something with Leia's past in between the movies, because that was a thing that I felt like was never mined, and I always wanted to, there is another. I always wanted to see her do something with the Force.
Me too. And they do that in the expanded universe. She becomes Luke trains her in the Force in the expanded universe in the novels subsequently. So,
yeah, it would be a big missed opportunity to not have that. I mean, obviously it would be tough to do flashbacks and like show us any of that without recasting her. But I hope she's got, like, you don't even have to show us that. Just have her in that movie, moving stuff. I'd really like to see that.
And they remind us of it in the second trailer when we get like that Luke voiceover, and he says, "My father had it, my sister had it, and
my sister has it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming they'll probably potentially do something with that.
Good point. Yeah, because he's flat out saying she's got the Force. If she never uses it, that'd be weird.
And they're taking some. I've read an interview with J.J. Abrams talking about how. He really likes some of the expanded universe stuff, and he's read the Thrawn trilogy. And some of the early stuff in that deals with Luke wanting to train her, but Leia being initially kind of hesitant because of what happened with Vader. So it'd be interesting now that Vader has become this unseen presence that's the focus of Kylo Ren's obsession and starting this whole trilogy up again. If maybe we can adapt some of that and have her potentially give up on Jedi training because of that fear. And then this whole series just might be more affirmation for her about that.
It's so interesting because moving forward, it feels like we're adapting what is now non-canonical material potentially. I mean, that might ultimately be really cool, as long as what they give us is as good as what folks had before.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And based on the trailers so far, I mean, I think it has the potential to exceed expectations, even with that stuff. I mean, I am just over the moon excited about this thing. Obviously, we haven't seen all that much about it, and there's a lot we don't know. This could be the Phantom Menace all over again, but based on the people that are involved and the reverence they seem to have for it, I can't see this being anything other than spectacular.
Yeah, if so, it's raw passion without any sense of storytelling behind it. I'd be real surprised.
I mean, you get Larry Kasdan to co-write your script. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong there.
Well, I'm stoked, and I'm stoked because being more of a casual Star Wars fan, I'm getting to jump onto kind of a new ground floor with Star Wars. Like, I'm actually looking at expanded stuff now because there's not too much of it yet, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's just man, Disney getting Star Wars seems to be the best thing to happen to the property in a very long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I just wish they'd buy Star Trek. Well, do you guys have any final thoughts?
I think we went over this pretty thoroughly.
Yeah. Yes, we did. Fine-tooth comb, my friends.
Yeah, it was fun though. If they had put on another trailer, maybe we should do this again.
Yeah, I'd be.
Yeah.
I just want to talk.
Yeah, if they put enough more in it. I got the sense this might be the last thing we saw.
I'm kind of hoping it's the last thing because I know enough that I'm excited. I'm more excited about the plot of the movie. I know a little bit about what it's going to be about, but I would be fine with knowing nothing more, just going in and having my expectations blown away.
Now, I think the movie would still have done just as well as it's going to, even if all we had were the teasers.
All you need to do is put the title Star Wars The Force Awakens with the John Williams theme in front of a movie, and people will go see it.
You're done. That's it. Yeah.
That's how powerful the brand of Star Wars is,
No, that's absolutely right. But I think that there is a lot of... On the other hand, when you decanonicize expanded universe, you have to go a little bit farther.
Yeah, you do for the hardcore Star Wars fans, but the general audience hasn't read any of that stuff. I don't even think they realize that even happened.
They shouldn't have to care.
Right, exactly. I mean, I have a Force Awakens T-shirt that I bought at Disney World when I went to the Star Wars weekends this past summer, and it's got the date of the movie when it's coming out. It's got a First Order Stormtrooper, and I get people all the time talking to me. They're like, "Oh, doesn't that look awesome? Like, you're a walking advertisement for the movie. I can't wait to see that. Like, I didn't even know when it was coming out." It seems like among the general public, there's a lot of excitement about it. Just from me walking around on my college campus at my job, like people point it out to me all the time. So.
The trailer had 22 million views on YouTube in the first 24 hours.
That's nuts.
That's nuts. And I thought Age of Ultron got hit hard. Good God, that's insane.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine...
Now, how many of those were people that watched it 50 times in succession, just like Dan Torrey?
Oh, yeah, and I mean, I would imagine the ratings of that Monday Night Football game were through the roof just because the Star Wars trailer was through it. Like, I know a lot of people that were like, "Oh, I'm going to have to sit through a football game to see the Star Wars trailer,"
I saw people complaining. I was like, you don't be online in 2 hours after that. Just stay up.
Yeah.
Go for a walk. Come home. Watch the trailer. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, but...
I mean, watch football if you want to. I thought it was so funny when people complained about that. I'm going to have to sit through a football. No, you don't. We're in the future. Today was Back to the Future Day.
Come on, guys.
We live in a world where it's going to be there right afterwards. But I think that's hilarious. Instant gratification has you waiting around for a thing to see it instantly. I don't understand that. It doesn't even make any sense to me. Anyway, Steve, do you have any final thoughts, sir?
I don't. I'm just really, really excited. I'm going to be camping out somewhere waiting for the movie.
Like tomorrow, he's going to be like...
Yes. I'm just going to drop all my classes and wait for the movie.
He just bought a Winnebago. Well, anyway, everybody, thanks as always for watching. We sure appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed our speculation about Star Wars The Force Awakens. We will come back with you again if we have any more major stuff about the movie before it happens. We might do another short speculation thing. But otherwise, we'll be doing, obviously, lots of coverage on it when it comes out. And I'm going to have to hurry up and get my tickets because they're already selling out every place. And it's going to be, oh boy, again, $19.99 all over again. Except this time... I think people are not going to be as baffled in a negative way. Hopefully,
they can't afford to screw it up at this point.
No, they can't.
Thanks again for watching, folks. We appreciate it. I'm Captain Logan. This was Dan Torrey.
Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you're just as excited as we are. It looks
and Steve Baxi.
Thanks everybody for watching.
Bye.